Today we're going to talk about the law of sines. And so if we're given a triangle, to label the triangle, the sides opposite of the angle are labeled with the lowercase version of the letter. And so the formula for law of sines is if you have sine of angle A over A, that's going to be equal to sine of angle B over side B, which is also equal to sine of angle C over side C. And so you just want to make a note that at any given time, you're only going to be using two of these at a time. And so when it comes to labeling your triangle too, you also want to make some notes that you label angles using uppercase letters. And then you label sides using lowercase letters. So now if we move into some examples, if we are given the following triangle, and so we're going to be given that side B is equal to 50, side C is equal to 70, and angle C is going to be equal to 67 degrees. And our goal here is to solve the triangle. So when I say solve the triangle, I mean find all the missing side and angle measures. So step 1, we're going to do law of sines, and we're going to do law of sines using angle C, and we're going to solve for angle B here. So we're going to use sine of angle C over side C equals sine of angle B over side B, because we have angle C and side C, because if you see we have the pair right there, and then we have side B here, and so we want to solve for angle B. So now we're going to substitute in all of our values. So we're going to say sine of 67 over 70 is equal to sine of angle B over 50. Now we have a proportion here, so we're going to cross multiply, which then gives us 50 times the sine of 67 equals 70 times the sine of angle B. Now divide each side by 70 so we can get sine of B alone. And so we get 50 times the sine of 67 over 70 equals the sine of B. And so now we want to find what all of that equals. And so when you do that, you're going to find that's approximately 0.6575. And so to solve for sine of B, to solve for angle B, we need to do the inverse sign of our decimal. So we're going to say sine inverse of this decimal. And now try not to round anything, so you really want to use the operation second answer in order to insert your previous answer on your calculator into the parentheses, because if we start rounding, we get rounding error and our answers end up wrong and way off. So when you do this in the calculator there, you're going to find that B is approximately equal to 41 79.1 degrees. And so we can come up and we can label that. And so now what we want to do is from here, so step 2, we're going to want to now find angle A. So to find angle A here, we have 2 of our 3 angles. And if you remember from, I want to say Math 2, the angle sum of a triangle is 180 degrees. So all 3 angles add up to be 180. So that means that angle A is going to be 180 minus angle C minus angle B. And so when you do that, you're going to find that A is equal to 71.9 degrees. And so we're going to come up here and we're going to label angle A as 71.9 degrees. And now step 3 is we need to solve for side A. And to solve for side A, we're going to use law of sines again. And so we're going to use angle C and side C because both were given to us, so that's the most accurate that we have. So we're going to use sine of C over C, and we need to find side A, so we're going to use sine of A over side A. And we're going to substitute in all of our values, and so that's going to be sine of 67 over 70 is equal to sine of 71.9 over A, which we don't know. From here, we're going to cross multiply everything because we have a proportion. So we're going to get A times the sine of 67 is equal to 70 times the sine of 71.9. And now we need to get A alone, so we're going to divide everything by sine of 67. And we're going to find that A is equal to 70 times the sine of 71.9 over the sine of 67. And we're going to put that right into our calculator, and we're going to find that A is about 72.3. And so we can come up and we can fill that in right here. Oops. And now we have everything solved for in our triangle, so that example is done. All right, now let's look at a word problem example. And so we have a satellite between Phoenix and LA. When Phoenix and LA are 340 miles apart, the angle of elevation from Phoenix to the satellite is 60 degrees, and from LA to the satellite is 75 degrees. How far is the satellite from LA? may have spelled Angelus wrong, so pardon my spelling if I did. So from here, I'm going to draw a picture. And the picture is going to be of a triangle. Okay, so we have LA, we have Phoenix, and we have a satellite. And so we know that LA and Phoenix is 340 miles apart, and that the angle of elevation from LA to the satellite here is 75 degrees, and the angle of elevation from Phoenix to the satellite is 60 degrees. And we want to know how far the satellite is from LA, so we're going to solve for x right there. And so the first thing we need to look for is, do we have a pair of an angle and a side? And the answer is no. Because if we look, the 60 is paired with the x, which we're looking for, so that's not a pair that's given. 75 is paired with something we're not given, so that's not a pair. And the 340 is paired with an angle that's not given, so it's also not a pair. However, we have two of the three angles, so we can solve for this third angle very easily. And all we have to do to solve for that third angle is use the fact that we know a triangle adds up to 180 degrees. So step one is to find that missing angle. So we're going to say, okay, well, 180 minus the 75 minus the 60 is going to give us that angle, and it tells us that it's 45 degrees. So we're going to come in here and label this 45 degrees. So now we have a pair. So now the next step is to use law of sines. And so we're going to use our pair. So we're going to say sine of our angle divided by that side is going to be equal, well, we want to find x here, so we're going to use the angle that's opposite of x with it. So sine of 60 divided by the side we don't know, which is x. And so from here, we're going to cross multiply because it's a proportion. And so we get x times sine of 45 is equal to 340 times the sine of 60. We want to get x alone, so we divide each side by the sine of 45. And so that tells us that x is equal to 340 times the sine of 60 divided by the sine of 45. You want to go ahead and put that right into your calculator, and you're going to find that it's approximately 416.4, and remember this is in miles. So now we can come over here and we can say, all right, x is equal to 416.4 miles is our final answer. And so lastly, we're going to look at how to find the area of a triangle. And I know you're thinking like 1/2 base times height. However, in this case, we're not going to be using that because we're not going to know the height of the triangles. And so we're going to use trigonometry to solve for the area of a triangle. So if we are given a triangle, best triangle, hold on. Okay, so if we're given a triangle and we label it A, B, C, and then lowercase a, lowercase b, and lowercase c, the area of that triangle is going to be equal to 1/2 A times B times the sine of C, or you can rotate, so 1/2 B times C times the sine of A, or 1/2 A times C times the sine of B. And so you would just want to make a note to yourself that all of these angles that are in the sine, those angles are actually in between the two sides. And so if you look at angle C there in the first one, angle C here is between A and B. And then if you go to the next one, which is angle A, that's between B and C. And angle B is between A and C. So all you need in order to find the area of a triangle is one angle between two given sides. So now let's do an example. And so if we have this triangle, where we have A, B, and C, and then we know that this side is 100 centimeters, and this side is 3 centimeters, and then angle B is 120 degrees. We want to find the area. And so here we have angle B, and we're given side A and side C, so our area is going to equal 1/2 A times C times the sine of angle B. And so now we're going to fill in all that and substitute. So the area equals 1/2 times A, which is 3, times C, which is 100, times the sine of angle B, which is 120. We type all of that into our calculators, and you're going to come up finding that your area is equal to 129.9 centimeters.